So this is kind of the worst of the damage. You can see here there was actually a helmeted head strike to this is what caused this. You know, obviously that needs to be addressed. But again, the body shop just doesn't have time right now. They haven't all year to take care of some of these issues and do the hood paint and things like that. So we had thought about doing a stud welder and pulling this out, and we still might, because this is just a black on the stealths. And so we could obviously, you know, just do a gloss or low gloss black or something, and it'd sure look a lot better than us trying to do pearl paint. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. But let's try a PDR kit first. Just picked up a simple basic PDR kit from Amazon. Got a little turbo here. He wants to help, apparently. You can see here I'm just about done putting the bottom back of that together to get the radio in. But let's try a PDR kit on this first. So first thing we want to do is clean this off, because there's probably some wax on here. So I think it says to use rubbing alcohol, but I actually just got some acetone here because it's what's handy. And yeah, you can see kind of what's coming off there. So it's a good thing you do that sort of thing. And that's going to strip any wax, anything like that off. You can see the primary strike now was probably here. I don't really... Well, that's great, Chloe. Just take all my paint off while you're up there. I love cats, but sometimes it's difficult. I don't know anything about pulling dents out, but I'm going to start in the center here because that's probably the most stretched, kind of start in this area. And again, I don't think we're going to get perfection out of this, but we probably do better than that. So we got this Amazon kit here. Comes with a little glue gun. See some spare parts I keep in my house. And it also has this slide hammer attachment, and there's a bridge puller too. So these hook on to these little tabs that you pull with. So let's see where I sat those down. Give me just a second. So if I am to understand this correctly, basically you take your pull tabs here, turbo keeps calling in the car. And we're probably going to want, you know, a pretty... Let's start with a small one and try to get this little ding out first. I was going to use a pretty big one, but I think it'd be a good idea to try to get the lowest spot out first. See, we got different sizes in here. This kit came with a whole bunch of these. I can link this in the description if you guys want. I guess that's about as small as I got here. And so from what I understand, you kind of just squeeze your glue out onto that and then put that on the panel. So I'm going to have to set you down for a second. Maybe Turbo can hold you up here. So we got a good amount of glue on here. Let's try that. I'm just pressing that down. I gotta be honest, I didn't read the instructions super closely, but I presume you want to hold that down for like 30 seconds while that dries. Okay. So I'm gonna give this a few minutes. I don't think there's any harm in letting this solidify, and I'll be back. I don't know if I'm talented to do this enough with one hand. We'll see. There's a little groove here. Sticks on this slide hammer. Let's just see if this pulls out any. Nope. Absolutely nothing. Well, that's a great start. So, we're going to try on a shallower part of the dent, because maybe this just wasn't flat enough to even grab that thing. And I'm going to go ahead and glue a couple of these around here. So we got two of those on there. We're going to let that harden up for a little bit. And we'll just go from there. The glue went about as well as anybody would expect, which is to say it didn't. So we grinded this down, and now we have a stud welder kit from the old Harbor Freight here. And I think this might help. Yeah, it's definitely moving that. Okay, we pulled that up. So I think what I'm going to do is put some more pins in there so we're not pulling it off from exactly the same spot. Let's see how this goes. So the stud welder kit's working pretty good. Sorry I didn't get a lot of in-action shots. I'm kind of new to this, so I can't hold the camera at the same time. This is still low, of course, but until I get these really deep spots out, I'm not going to do much with that. So now's about the time I'm going to have to take these pins off, because there's a super low spot right there, and there's a super low spot right there we need to work on. Might actually get some smaller pins here, but this is lifted, this whole area here, shoot, ½ inch. So I'd like to get this pretty close. You know, I might have to tap some of these down a little bit, but this is working like good. Just a Harbor Freight little stud welder here, working good. So I'll pop those pins off using kind of some wire cutters, and of course it leaves a little nudge here, and it may actually leave a little pinhole here, but we'll just hit that with the MIG welder later. But I'm gonna keep working on some of these little spots between the pulls and see if we can get way down in that serious deep spot there until we get this pretty close. And we might have to tap some of these back down, grind, whatever, try to get this good enough. So one thing I rapidly learned is the easiest way to get these off is just twist a little bit. Now I usually release them without poking a hole in your body panel. So it's definitely coming out. In fact, we got it pretty flat here. So what I'm gonna do is try to get this as close as we can, and I'll probably get a hammer and tap down on these high spots while I'm holding on to them with a pin next to it. And that might take some of this nudge out so that when we smooth this out, we're not just grinding away all the metal. So it's pretty thin. I may not post too many more updates until we get some filler, but I gotta basically patch these holes and take some of those ripples out of there still. But we are looking a worlds better than it did. I mean, this is almost in the correct shape. So it just takes a little patience. Make sure you just barely pull that trigger on that stud gun, less than ½ seconds best, so you can get them out easily. I didn't really find that I had to really weld it in there tight anyway. Pulled out pretty easy. Well, and there's the result. Patched up a couple of holes, ground that a little smoother. Need to put just a light coat of body filler on and start block sanding. Revenge Performance is the place to get the parts and the advice to help right the wrongs on your vehicle. We partner with the industry leaders in parts distribution and warehousing to get you the best possible prices, the widest selection of parts, and the fastest shipping. With our real-time inventory on our website, if we say we have it in stock, it's ready to ship. From us or from our many national distribution partners. With hundreds of thousands of parts available, I guarantee we can get revenge on your ride.